Welcome to Vienna. Austria's capital and largest city, Vienna, or Wien in German, has long been an important center of European political, economic, and military power. The Habsburg dynasty ruled the Holy Roman Empire from here during the Middle Ages, and the city remains a powerhouse of commerce, culture, arts, history, and of course, music. Many of the great composers of the classical era lived and worked here in Vienna, which is the final resting place for numerous music legends. Of course, that means Vienna is a great place to go digging, which we'll definitely get into in a few. I've visited Vienna several times. In fact, I drove here once from Berlin when I was living there, but I've also arrived by air on Austrian Airlines, as well as by train from Prague to Vienna Central Station, or Wien Hauptbahnhof. You'll find that the city is so steeped in music culture that the trains actually play a scale that ends in the frequency the trains themselves make when they pull off, which I thought was pretty cool. Check it out. Completed in 2015, the new Wien Hauptbahnhof is clean, modern, and centrally located. It offers numerous retail options, including several eateries, which make it a pretty good place to grab a bite to eat. Of course, it is Vienna, so the sweets and pastries are definitely on point. My home when I'm in town is usually the Hotel Ibis, or Ibis, as I'm told the pronunciation depends on what country you're in, which is conveniently located right across the street from the Hauptbahnhof. This time I'm in room 224. Let's check it out. Now we are in Europe, so do remember to stick your keycard in the slot to turn the lights on, and voila. So the Ibis is a 3-star hotel, which means it's somewhat modest and doesn't have some of the niceties like a fridge or a coffee maker or a safe in the room. But I find I don't always need those things, and it's a good trade-off for a more affordable rate in my opinion. At around $100 a night, I've got a comfortable bed, shower, toilet, sink, everything I need for a good night's rest. Oh, and I should point out it's a good idea to have one of these US to Euro outlet adapters to plug in your dual voltage electronics like your laptop. Just be mindful that the voltage is higher in Europe, so single voltage stuff from the US like curling irons and such require a voltage converter to work. They will fry if you plug them in with just an adapter like this with no converter, so do keep that in mind. Alright, now that I'm settled into my room, let's hit the streets. Public transportation will take you pretty much anywhere you need to go in Vienna, whether it's via tram, bus, or the U-Bahn or S-Bahn rail networks. There are plenty of things to see and do in Vienna, and what you get into kind of depends on your taste. The museums are a good place to start, and the Art History Museum, or Kunsthistorisches Museum, is particularly impressive. Here you can see masterpieces such as Bruegel's Tower of Babel, among many others. Long an imperial capital, Vienna is also home to several elaborate palaces, such as the Hofburg, the Schönbrunn, and the Belvedere shown here. The elaborate gardens offer great places for a quiet stroll and spectacular views of the city. If you're a music fan like me, you'll want to check out one of the many concerts going on in town. Tonight, my buddies and I are heading over to the Wiener Concert House to hear a performance of the Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra. While no filming or photos are allowed during the show, the packed house in this elegant venue is evidence that the Viennese still love their music. Concerts will sell out online weeks in advance, so do plan ahead and get your tickets early. After the show, we headed to dinner at Falco's restaurant, yes, that Falco of Rock Me Amadeus fame, and I, of course, had the Wiener Schnitzel, except mine was chicken instead of the traditional veal, but still very tasty. On day 2, I'm heading to pay my respects to some of my favorite composers at the Vienna Central Cemetery, which you can get to by taking the number 11 or 71 tram to Zentralfriedhof, Gate 2 or Tor 2. The cemetery opens its arms to music fans of the world, such as myself, and is quite large, so be prepared to do some walking. Head straight towards the church from the gate, and at about the halfway point you will come to a sign directing you to the musicians section on the left. Here you'll find the graves of some of the world's most famous composers of the classical and romantic eras, including Schubert, Brahms, Strauss, and of course, Beethoven. While there is a memorial to Mozart located here, it was moved here from St. Mark's Cemetery, where Mozart is actually buried. As the historical marker near Mozart's grave at St. Mark's indicates, while Mozart may have died with little wealth, he was not buried in a mass grave as famously depicted in the movie Amadeus. Even though his grave went unmarked for a time, researchers are pretty sure that this is probably the spot, or close to it. While Mozart was born in this house in Salzburg, as an adult, he lived in several apartments in Vienna, and you can visit a few of them, such as this one, which houses a very good museum, as well as this one, which is where Mozart died on December 5th, 1791, at the age of 35. His last works, including the Magic Flute and the Requiem, were composed here. The building now offers an immersive exhibit exploring Mozart's music and his time in Vienna. For more information, see mythos-mozart.com. Alright, now I gotta send a quick shout out to my homie Levert Holmes, aka DJ Elbow Greasy, who put me in touch with the good brother Derek Roberts, an educator and artist who has been living in Vienna since the early 2000s. Derek put me onto this dope Japanese noodle spot where I was happy to fill my belly before interviewing Derek about his experience living in Vienna. Here's what he had to say. Alright, I am here in Vienna, or Wien, is that how y'all say it here?
Yeah, Wien works.
Austria, with my man Derek. What's good, bro?
What's good, man? I'm happy to finally connect with you after a big miss last time, but luckily through Lever we were able to lock it up.
Yeah, man. Shout to my man Lever. So you were saying you guys met at Wesleyan, right?
Yeah, we met at Wesleyan in '96.
So how long have you been living here in Vienna?
I moved to Vienna from New York. I'd been living in New York for 2 years before. And then I came out to Vienna to study in 2003. The intention was to stay here for a year. Then I found out I had to stay for 2 years to get the master's degree because my qualifications weren't sufficient, they told me. So then after 2 years, I was like, okay, after 2 years of living in New York, packing up, selling all my stuff, I didn't want to do that again, and Vienna was starting to reveal itself positively. So in that sense, I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to live abroad, then I felt like it was kind of my last chance to do so.
Sounds like the city started to grow on you.
Yeah, after the first year, I was like, okay, it's a pretty dope place to be. I didn't want to pack up and do the same thing and sell all this stuff, go back to the States. I didn't really have a specific aim there anyway. And I thought I always wanted to live abroad, and I felt like if I went back to the States, that would pretty much be the end of that possibility. So I decided to stay longer, and then studying, having a family, and then it was just clear, like it made sense as a family to be here because of the social welfare, educational system, safety, general quality of life. Those were convincing factors for us.
Are there any other things about the city that you would highlight as positive qualities or positive factors that have kept you living here for, you said 20 years now, right?
Yeah, it's about 20 years. I would say, I think having a sense of purpose. So I'm a teacher here. I've been doing that for 17 years. So having a steady employment that I love, that is challenging, that's very important. I think the school system is quite interesting here as well. I enjoy that. So I work at a bilingual school, so I'm able to teach in English while also practicing my German. But also I like the size of the city. So it's about 2 million people live here, which is sizable enough to have various communities and also cultural offerings. So a lot of plays and a lot of international acts come through Vienna. There's a There's quite a robust art scene here, great museums. Yeah, the other thing is once you find your community or a number of communities where you find enjoyment, then pretty much any place can be fine, right? So materially, I mean, this is a convenient place to be because it's, public transport is amazing, architecture is amazing, but really it's the communities that are like anchorage for me here. So the black community, various black communities, arts communities, music community, teaching community, all of these things. So compound my sense of wellness being here. It's not I don't want to sell it as a utopia. I mean, there are a lot of, I mean, the city has a lot of good qualities, but it's also, like every other place, it has its challenges. It's really what's like the perfect cup of tea for you. And I think the best thing to do is to see as many cities, be in as many spaces as possible. Um, and that's really the education that is important. And it's not about like finding the one place. I mean, this happens to be the place for me, but I just want to encourage people to get out there. Amsterdam is doing it slightly differently. Berlin is doing it slightly differently. Bangkok is doing it slightly differently, and just seeing more of the world. That's I guess the main message.
Word. Big up to my man Derek for showing me around town and giving me a glimpse of the real Vienna. So now we move on to the main event, and it's time to get our dig on. I'm told that one of the best places to go digging in Vienna is Moses Records. Now this shop has everything you need for a proper digging experience. They claim to have the largest selection of vinyl in town, and it is quite extensive. Very well organized by genre and alphabetical by artist. Of course, they have both 12-inch and 7-inch vinyl, as well as CDs, DVDs, and other merch. They even have a sizable selection of record collecting supplies, such as sleeves, jackets, and cases. Listening stations are also on deck, so you can try before you buy. Highly recommended if you're in town, and to top all that off, the store also sponsors a record fair 4 times a year. Now, I booked my ticket before I knew about the fair, but the record god showed me favor, and as fate would have it, the fair was happening the same weekend I was in town, so lucky me. So I made my way over to the Volkshochschule, or VHS, and paid the €8 entrance fee for the fair, and man, I gotta tell y'all, I wasn't ready. I mean, this thing was huge. As many as 100 dealers from all over Europe fill up the auditorium and several other rooms at the school, and there's a lot to dig through. You can easily spend all day in here, so come with a plan, a budget, and a means of shipping what you buy back home. Now, I didn't have any of those things, so I kind of had to chill, but it's definitely worth another visit when I'm more prepared, and certainly a highlight of my trip. For more information on the shop and the fair, visit moses-records.at. Alright, so that wraps up my time eating and digging my way through the imperial city of Vienna. I hope you've enjoyed this short glimpse into one of the most impressive cities I've visited. Until next time, this is DJ D-Skillz saying, Auf Wiedersehen, and keep on digging.